We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode and, of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
All right, we are live. Welcome. Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Hey, how are you guys doing this evening?
We're doing so good. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us. We're glad that you are here. Hopefully, you will be able to shed some light on your wonderful background. So I'm just going to kind of pass it over to you. I'd love to know if you can tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself, kind of what brought you maybe to Atlanta, and give a little kind of background about what you're up to these days.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Reape. I'm actually Director of Marketing for CMB. We are an insight strategy and consulting firm located in Boston. My team is actually in Boston, but I'm 100% remote. So we collaborate amongst the various groups of marketing and sales, as well as the industry groups as well. In terms of my background, I always say I'm responsible for all things marketing. So digital, PR, content strategies, digital campaigns, and even like insights and analyst relations campaigns as well. In terms of what brought me to Atlanta, so that's a funny story. My dad works he's retired, Department of Justice. So we moved around quite a bit. I was born in New York, moved to Massachusetts, Virginia, overseas to Jamaica, and then back to the States. The final place has been Atlanta for about 18 plus years. And because of that, I went to Clayton State University. I'm actually an alumni of Clayton State. I sit on the alumni board as well. In addition to that, Tag Marketing Association, and then most recently, Community Bucket.
Yes. Wow, Michelle, I feel like you do a couple things. That's exciting. Okay. You said one thing that I do kind of want to talk about more, Jamaica. Tell us just like quick, like what brought you there?
So because of my dad's job, he took a position in Kingston, Jamaica. So we lived there for about 3.5 years. So I did most of like my high school there, as well as a little college too, before I came back to the States to go to Clayton State. But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience. Some of my best friends, actually my two best friends, one of them still lives there and the other one's in Miami, but I made some amazing friends. Funny story. So one of the guys I went to school with, his brother's Damon Marley. So it's just Jamaica is an amazing country and Kingston is an amazing city. So super blessed for that opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds like honestly like tons of fun. That's like something that people
very much
don't.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of probably experiences in Jamaica. Oh man, can you also? You said Clayton State, right? So, and I believe you mentioned maybe. I know maybe you can tell us a little bit what you're doing with Clayton State now. I think you're still kind of involved, right?
Yes. So this is my second term, on the board, and I have been very heavily involved in recruitment, the marketing, and then also just like giving back to Clayton State in general. One of the main things I've been super passionate about is talking on the topic of personal branding. So as a marketer, it's something that I've done in, I guess, previous talks with just women affiliation groups at the Tag Marketing Society. I gave a talk on that as well. And so bringing it to Clayton State as an actual series. So I've been doing that with them in addition to recruitment for the alumni board.
Staying busy. Well, you mentioned and you obviously have a background in marketing and you've gotten involved in the board and bring a lot of great marketing expertise. So maybe you could as well a little bit about what you've been up to on the board so far as it relates to the marketing side of things.
Sure. So that's a great question because it ties in extremely well with like my expertise in general. So marketing strategy and building out strategic, not only campaigns, but what does a holistic strategy look like, not only for a small business, nonprofit, but even enterprise organizations. And so given my previous experience working for SaaS companies and, being on boards, leveraging that into the items and the stuff that we're doing for Community Bucket. So thinking about what makes the most sense from a sponsorship perspective, social aspects, and then even like campaigns and, thinking about fundraising and that component. Given the pandemic, things obviously have changed quite a bit. So marketing has to change, and you have to ensure that you're ready to pivot and make sure that you do remain relevant, not only if you're an organization, but thinking about Community Bucket specifically. How can we still be relevant, but then also get in front of the people that we need to and ensure that we're delivering the right message? So thinking about our strategic campaigns and then social components and bringing all of those together.
Great. Well, you've been a big help so far in the few months of, did you join in January? Is that when we officially brought you on?
I think so. And it's so insane because with I guess like the pandemic, it was pretty much not necessarily the height, but I guess, kind of the dovetail of it. So January.
Yeah, it was the height of the pandemic was the low point of Community Bucket in terms of the events and everything going on. But one thing that allowed us to spend some time without having a lot of events going on, really spend time looking at our marketing strategy and how we use it and engage with folks out there and just tell our story. So you've made great contributions so far. One thing I wanted to know, Michelle, in the time that you have been on the board, anything that has surprised you about your time on the board with Community Bucket?
I don't think so. I think the one thing that I was extremely pleased to see, and not necessarily amazed, but the way in which the structure, functionality and strategy on the executive side and the executive team is just really refreshing, because being a part of multiple boards, they're all ran differently. So, I was super happy, and I knew JC already coming into it, so no surprise, but super happy to see, the structure, the strategy, even when it coming down to making sure the minutes were correct and all of the information was there. It's that's, those are the little things that make efficiencies of being on a board amazing and wonderful.
We should probably use this time to give a little bit of a plug as well, because speaking of the operations, and one of the things that we're building out are committees for various aspects. And first among that will be the marketing committee. So do you want to give the one pitch on why everybody listening to this should stop immediately and join our marketing committee?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, you're going to be working with me. So hands down, that's it. Obviously, you're going to be working with Jesse and JC, but, hey, just want to put that out there. It's all about me. But I will say Community Bucket's an amazing organization. And from a marketing perspective, we have the ability to touch multiple different organizations, people, and even, working with different types of sponsorship opportunities, and even thinking about this new normal of how we're going to present events in general. But then also thinking about, getting the right message in front of the right people and at the right time, in order for them not only to help out and give back to causes that should be near and dear to their hearts if they're looking to give back from a service perspective, and then also just being super creative. And I think that was one of the things that really helped to provide me the opportunity to work with Jesse and thinking about what a marketing strategy looked like for Community Bucket. We really had to get creative and think about, yes, we've been coming out of this pandemic, but what does that mean for people to get active and to serve, right? And so the one thing that I love about everyone who's involved at Community Bucket, we all have some level of service that we're super passionate about. So, bringing that forward and translating that into a marketing committee is something that I'm excited about. So, if you're looking to not only make a difference in your life in terms of giving back from a service perspective, or if you feel like you want to give back to the community and not even in a service perspective, but your time in terms of being a marketer, would love to work with you and would love for you to join the committee.
Yes, we will take any good minds. You can be in Atlanta or anywhere.
Yes, you can be anywhere.
Yes, especially as we look to the future and where we could grow next. We're really excited to build out that committee. And excited for your energy, Michelle. So you touched on this, and part of this is why somebody might get involved in a committee. But I was curious if you could also just share, like, really, joining a board, a nonprofit board, is no small task or commitment, and something that requires some investment. So I would love if you could share just some of those things that really drew you to not only Community Bucket, but really wanting to jump in and make that commitment of joining the board of directors.
So I actually had a conversation with JC. I want to say it was like a couple of weeks before, I don't know, maybe it was like before the holiday. I don't know. I think she was traveling, but in any event, I just told her, I said, the pandemic really taught me that I needed to do more. So it gave me the opportunity to kind of pause and think about, what do I want to do outside of like being involved in tech, being involved at Clayton State. And then at the time I was working for a SaaS company in the ATV. So, I really wanted to just do more. And so JC was like, oh my gosh, I am affiliated with this organization, Community Bucket. Check that out. Like, let me know your thoughts. Like, what do you think you would like to do? And I looked into it and I was like, yes. She was like, just text me and let me know. And I think I walked away from that conversation, and later that evening I texted her and I was like, hey, I want to get involved. I want to do more. I feel like whatever you guys have done previously, the past couple of months, would really like to get involved and like activate from a marketing perspective and drive some true like ROI, whether it's engagement from a social perspective or like getting people to events, or even thinking about, what a true strategy looks like. Would love to help out in any shape or capacity. So, it was a no-brainer for me, just because JC and I are in some of the same circles from a technology perspective. But not only that, I knew if she was involved in it, that for me, it was a no-brainer. So, and Community Bucket stands for a lot of things that I, definitely feel passionate about from a service perspective. So it made sense.
Yeah. Oh, I remember some of those conversations. I was very excited to start the conversations with Michelle, because obviously, we were connected in the past. And so, yeah, you kind of you touched on it, and I want to actually hear a little bit more about, you're so passionate. I love, of course, I'm biased, right? I love that she was so passionate. I was so excited to connect. Could you tell us, you mentioned already a few of those, like the personal branding side of things. I'd love to just hear about a few more other passions that you're really excited about in the community. I think you're pretty locally involved in some other communities. I'd love to hear where, what are some of those? Do you want to share a bit more on either and any of those areas?
Yeah. So I'm super passionate about working out. I feel like it grounds me 100% because I'm always very busy. I am somebody who, and I'm pretty sure you guys realize this, I'm someone who loves a jam-packed schedule, and I will do back to back to back to back. But just so I can fit everything in, because I never want to feel that whatever commitment that I have said I'm going to do gets neglected. So I always, if I do have to reschedule, I'll do it. But I always want to make sure that I fully commit. So with that being said, working out helps to balance that. I usually typically get up at 4:30 in the morning. I work out at a gym called Beck Fitness. It's located off of Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta. And it's an amazing outlet for me. My trainer, Shayon Green, he's a former University of Miami football player, Pittsburgh Steelers. So needless to say, I honestly work out like a football player, but I don't look like one. So I'll say that. He has definitely helped to transform my body. And I think one of the main things that he preaches in the gym as well is just trust the process. So definitely have believed in that. And I just continue to work out there. It's an amazing family and group of individuals. So definitely passionate about working out, passionate about music. I actually have, and you know her as well, JC Lola. She actually is a trainer at Effect Fitness, but she also is just dance classes. So, helping her to pursue different outlets with regards to getting her bookings in the entertainment industry. So working with her on that facet. So passionate on both fronts.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I will say Michelle is, again, this is part of the passion, part of why we're connecting. But the things she's talking about, her gym and of course the other support, I'm always just really inspired by that, Michelle. So if anyone is interested in checking out Effect, they're fantastic. Michelle, can you tell me what's just a fun fact about kind of like any stats you want to share? I feel like you've just come a long way. Anything that's kind of about Effect, or anything else, something just extra fun that what we might not know about you, or our audience might think would be interesting.
And I'll give you two. One about Beck. So I can squat 205 pounds.
Okay.
That's
just
the
a
first
little
thing.
bit.
Yes. I was very close to 215, or maybe it's 215. I'll have to probably double check with Lola. We were working out together. And then I used to be a professional ice skater as a child.
What?
Yes. So my adult fun fact and a kid fun fact.
What does that look like to be a professional child ice skater?
So I used to do figure skating and ice dancing. So when we moved to Massachusetts, so I was originally born in New York, and then we moved to Massachusetts. And so when I was in New York at the age of 3, I started skating. And then in Western Mass, it's huge there. So all they do is play hockey and ice skate. So I just essentially started doing that for the most part full time. So I would skate 7 days a week. I'd compete. And so, yeah, it's pretty exciting. I actually still have my letter jacket from my skating club. I should grab it, but I'd have to get up. But my mom kept it. I have my skates. I have my scribe. Yeah. It's a full memory lane at my parents' house.
You are full of great hobbies and good little nuggets of unexpected things. So we love that. Just to wrap it up, Michelle, and I would love to be able to dive into all of that more. So we'll have to follow up on all the digging deeper on those fun facts on another episode. But just to wrap it up, as we ask every guest at the end, just as the name implies for Community Bucket, we dig community, and we always love to know what each of our guests dig on a personal level. So what do you, Michelle, dig in life?
Oh my gosh, that's such a great question. I will say passion and love for all things that I'm trying to, just ambition, moving forward in my life in general, and drive. So that's what I'm big on. And then personal time and self-care, I think that's extremely important. A lot of times we lose sight of that. And as I mentioned, I'm someone who always is on the go, and sometimes I honestly neglect myself, and I'm oh, I got to do better on that. So personally right now, I'm digging on me.
Nice. That is important. Everybody needs to do a little bit of that, probably more than most of them. Well, thank you again, Michelle. We are pleased to have you on our board, and you've already been a great addition and will be for hopefully years to come. And excited to hopefully put you to work at one of our events where there's some heavy lifting, now that I know how much you can. But thank you so much for joining us on this episode, and we will talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to a follow-up conversation with you guys.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thanks.